Hello, welcome along to the Rangers Rabble Phone In. It was supposed to be on last night, but for one reason or another, we couldn't manage. So I thought, let's do it tonight. Let's see if we can get it done a day late, but better late than never, as they say. So hello, welcome along. Tonight I am joined by Brian. Brian, how are you?
Very well, sir. Very well. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Away day. Motherwell away days were always good back in the day, so I'm looking forward to going back.
And of course, Motherwell is such a beautiful place.
Absolutely.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, Martin. I'm also looking forward to tomorrow. And not because Motherwell's a nice place or Motherwell's a good away day. I just love watching Rangers. And hopefully it's better than Wednesday, but we'll get to that.
Yes, unfortunately, I will be in a plane during the game, which is...
Unfortunately? What do you mean, unfortunately?
I didn't say... Did I say unfortunately? I did not mean it. I mean, I'm going to be in a plane, flying to another country with my family for an amazing holiday. So, yeah.
see while you're away, can you clear up something for me while you're away?
Yes.
Can you have a wee look at Mickey Mouse's wrist and check if he wears a Brian Fotheringham watch?
I certainly will have a look.
I doubt it.
Just to clear up for folk watching, by the way, I'm going to Paris. I'm not going to Florida, because in case you took that I'm going to Disneyland from Wolf there. Yes, I'm going to the cheaper one. The much cheaper one. So William, strongly disagree. I live in Motherwell. It's a toilet. William, I live in Hamilton. I know Motherwell's a toilet. You don't have to tell me, buddy. You don't have to tell me. So yeah, quite a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to go over we're going to talk about Gio, obviously. We're going to talk about the squad, injuries, VAR as well. That's coming into Scottish football. And of course, we will touch on Motherwell. It is a phone in. You can phone in and have your say. Before I open the lines, what I do want to let everybody know is that if your call is answered and you can hear us and you go hello and we don't talk back, you will be brought in. Do not hang up. Do not go away. You will be brought in. It's just that if Wolf's talking, it takes that long to finish talking. So yeah, call in now 01416287237 to have your say on anything Rangers related at all. Brian, Champions League has not been our friend, has not been good to us.
Nope.
How are you feeling about everything, I suppose?
Probably how I foreseen when the draw came out. Wasn't very optimistic when the draw came out. I seen who we were facing. We obviously could have faced Barcelona, Bayern, or Inter, or the group that we were in. And to be quite honest, in some respects, I seen it as the worst of two evils, but I don't think there was any worse of two evils. They were both as bad as each other. We were. I would hesitate. Well, not even hesitate. We are up against this sort of opposition. Clearly, unfortunately, out of our depth. Quality wise, just these teams are relentless or always in the Champions League. It's difficult, I mean, I turned it the last year I was sitting there.
Come on, stop. Stop talking around the point. Get to how you.
The point I'm trying to make is Liverpool, for example, on Wednesday, we were 3-1 down, and Liverpool made a triple sub, and of course it was Thiago, Jota, and Salah. And I looked at the last year sitting next to me and just went, "Oh, how." I thought things were bad, but this is hopeless. This is terrible. Of course, it just absolutely went from 3-1 was okay to 7-1's absolutely embarrassing, and it was an absolute lesson in European football on Wednesday, and a lesson in how good a squad you need, how you make your subs, and we were way short. on Wednesday.
I think it could also be a lesson on how to set up a team and how to deal with.
Yeah.
But we do have our first call of the evening. Hold on a wee sec just to bring him in. Ian, how are you?
Evening all. Yes, I have. I have recovered from Wednesday. Yes. See, I mean, goodness gracious! That first half, I was thinking, "Wow, we're 1-1 and we're having chances." What I literally was mentally thinking, "What could possibly go wrong?" Let's just see. They didn't even get our first gear. It's just that we then turned off after they scored the third goal. Goodness gracious! I've seen team collapse. I've seen team.
So, have we lost Ian?
Oh. Is he gone?
Seems to have.
I think Martin's gone as well.
Yeah, he has. Well, there's a problem with Martin's internet. I moved my screen there just for to clarify something to Walter Zinga. Walter, I am actually in my missus' house because she lives with me. I'm actually sitting in her office space in my spare room, and I moved the camera so you can see there is actually a Rangers picture at this side of me, and I signed Michael Mole's jersey up there because where I normally sits over there, which has got all the Rangers stuff on it. So I am. Don't worry. I want my staunch points back, Walter, so if I can have them back, thanks very much.
But no, Wolf,
I'm not.
obviously, you were there as well on Wednesday.
I'm not going to mention that right in front of me is a portrait of Tynecastle because this is the missus' office, but we won't go there. No, yes, I was there on Wednesday. It was fucking horrific.
I was about to say, I mean, obviously, I've made my feelings very well clear about Wednesday. How did you see it from your perspective? Obviously, we just heard from Ian there. You know, here he goes.
Sorry. My internet decided just to turn off. So my apologies to Ian.
Do you want 50p in the meter for it?
I think I'm going to need more than 50 pence.
Martin, do you want to flick yourself to the other side of the screen because it's doing my OCD all sorts of nonsense human on the right hand side? Thank you. That's better. That's better.
Right. So I'm going to bring Ian straight back in. Ian, my apologies. That was my fault.
It's all right. I got the impression you froze on screen. I thought, okay, he's gone. Like what was I saying? Yeah, I mean, total collapse. I've seen bad ones, but this was like I've watched football a long time. This was up there with one of the worst. But we kind of just can't look back. We've got to look forward. I mean, okay, we're a bit depleted team wise, but I mean, I don't want to insult Motherwell, but like we should still, even with a half team, find a way of winning against them. At this point now, it's just about winning matches rather than how we win them. I mean, it's like, you know, it took me at least half of Thursday to get over Wednesday. Let's put it that way. I mean, Rangers Twitter was not a nice place to be on Thursday morning.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, well, and quite rightly so. You know, we've seen the post from, I can't even remember. Was it Pfeiffer, who worked for us, but was in the away end. We've seen all sorts of reactions from Rangers supporters. Well, I don't really know a good way to put this, a nice way to put this, or an easy way to ask this question. But Gio was getting a lot of hate, quite rightly so.
Yeah, it was obviously going to happen because Rangers Twitter's a bad place to be at the best of times. Even when we win games, it's not a nice place to be sometimes. But that capitulation on Wednesday was totally unacceptable. I mean, as you said before we went on air, had we lost 7-1, that had been hard enough. Had we been 3 or 4 down at half time and we got totally destroyed by Liverpool. We were arguably the better team in the first half. Mm-hmm. We came out second half, and as Brian referenced earlier, they brought on 3 world-class players off the bench, and we were bringing on guys like Scott Wright, with the greatest respect to Scott Wright. It's a completely different level. We knew that. I mean, when the draw got made, we knew we were playing 3 of the best teams in Europe. I mean, it's a very strange group because when the group get made, I think almost everybody said, look, Rangers will struggle to get third, and they'll be battling for third with Ajax, who were in pot 1. You know, I mean, it was the only group, I think, where the pot 1 team were favourites to finish third.
Yeah. And
the pots 2 and 3 teams were going to be fighting for top spot, just the way that the seasons all worked out. it was never ever going to be easy. But and I said even before we knew who we were playing, the first time in the Champions League in over a decade, we'll probably get some spankings because that's what happens. Look at Club Brugge; they've spent 3 or 4 years getting spanked all over the Champions League. They're now top of the group, qualified with 2 games to go.
Yeah.
But there's getting spanked and there's losing 7 goals at home. I mean, we got spanked in Amsterdam, and we got spanked by Napoli. Although we were in the game for an hour. The thing that concerns me the most about all these games is we're losing goals in clusters. We're losing goals. Ajax scored 3 goals in a short spell in the first half.
Yeah.
Napoli scored a cluster of goals towards the end of the game. Liverpool Salah scored 3 goals in 6 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
When we lost at Parkhead, they scored 3 goals in 15 or 20 minutes. It's little clusters of goals that we're losing. And to me, that's unacceptable. I mean, if you think back to when Dundee United lost 9 to Celtic, I think my biggest takeout from that was there was 1 booking in the game and it was after 4 minutes at 0-0. We had a grand total of no bookings on Wednesday night. Now, I'm not saying we should have kicked Liverpool off the park, but at least show a bit of fight, a bit of desire. If they're that far ahead of us, we're going to catch them late, trying to win the ball. We just stood back and admired them. It was from 3-1 onwards, it was just an absolute capitulation. I mean, for the manager to come out after the game and say at 3-1, we were struggling. Yeah. And then he made a triple substitution, which he had to make because he only had 1 substitution slot left after the injuries to Goldson and Jack. He takes off the front 3 and replaces them with a front 3. And he's already admitted that he knew we were struggling. Why does he not bring somebody into midfield to at least shore it up? Or bring somebody else on in defence and go for damage limitation? To me, it's very much like Advocaat's first game at Parkhead when we got beat 6-2. We were 3-1 down and he went for it. Because the Dutch ethos seems to be let's go for it and try and get back into this, and they got scalped. And I believe that I think it was Ian Ferguson went into Advocaat's office and said, look, we don't do that. If you're 3-1 down, the game's gone. Make sure it doesn't get any worse than that, or much worse than that. To me, it seems like Advocaat's gone, well, we're just going to go for this to try and haul it back. And you can't do that against the team at Liverpool because they're head and shoulders above us. It's a completely different level in the Champions League. Unless you're playing Leipzig, who all of a sudden are a very good team when they were a very poor team 4 months ago.
We'll come to more on that in a wee second. Ian, I've got a question from Facebook. It says, it's for Stuart Sinclair. He says, good evening, lads. Do you think we need to go for a Bosman given the defensive situation? We'd like to know your views. So, Ian, I'll take that question to you.
Well, it depends on who's out there and available. I mean, it's a really good question, but there's not someone who's really, I mean, again, I had to really think about it earlier. I'm thinking, who's available? Who's right now that we could get that we wouldn't have to pay for? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. It's a good one there, but there's no one that sticks in my head. But can I just make one point before? Can I just make one point, Martin? Yes. I can't. This is kind of something I wanted to make all day. Obviously, we saw the news about Ryan Jack, and there were some people on my timeline who weren't exactly, like normally. Okay, we all know the guy's had a bit of history with injury issues, and some of them were a bit not so nice towards him. And I said, and my first thought, I just want to say this, that he doesn't decide to get injured. It's not like he wants to be injured. He's perhaps gutted as much as we are, and he perhaps hates the fact that he's going to have to go under the treatment table. And I just feel like, the guy, like, look, someone tweeted, I saw someone tweet today, waste of a wage. Speaking as a Man United fan, Phil Jones is more of a waste of a wage. Ryan Jack has justified his wage with us. And okay, he's had injury issues, but when he's played, he's given everything he can for us, and we couldn't ask any more. And my point is that my only thing is I wish Ryan Jack well in his recovery, so that when he gets back, he's back to his full best, because no player likes being injured. He's perhaps hating it right now. So let's just wish Ryan Jack his best and actually be a fan base and wish our players well, rather than being condescending when we find out they're injured. Just wanted to say that.
Well, I'll definitely put that point to the guys, Ian. It's a great point. I think there's a few different opinions on Ryan Jack, so it'll be good to hear what the guys think. But I'm going to have to let you go because I've had about 80 million phone calls. So thank you very much, Ian. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks. Right.
And now who's trying to get in for a while, James. James, how you doing?
Hello, how you doing?
How's it going, mate? All right?
Yeah, not bad. Yourselves?
It's been better, I'm not going to lie.
It can be, I suppose.
What would you like to talk about?
Right. a bit of a controversial one here, right? But do you know who I feel sorry for in this whole Rangers team? Borna Barisic.
All right.
Let me explain why. Now, you guys obviously go to a lot more games than I do. I do watch him, obviously, try to go when I can. He has got a waste of skin in front of him on the left called Ryan Kent, right?
Mm-hmm.
For 10 minutes in a game, he'll try a wee run, he'll try a wee flick. If it doesn't happen, most right backs have got them in their pocket for the rest of the game. And then Borna's stuck between giving it to Ryan Kent, trying to play a long ball, which will go out and then the crowd boo him, or else he has to turn back and then the crowd boo him. When Tom Lawrence was playing, Borna Barisic looked 10 times the player he is now, because he had somebody dropping for the left, giving him an option, and then he could keep playing. The Kent on the park, Borna Barisic is shackled.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion.
Right, okay. All right, Brian. Well, it's a fair point made by James. Does Borna Barisic get a bit of undue stick simply because of who's in front of him?
There's a lot of times when Borna's in possession of the ball, he looks up and there's literally no movement in front of him. He's looking down the wing, he's looking infield, he's looking everywhere. And unfortunately, it's horrible to say it, but there's a lot of times that the only option he has got is going inside. Now, I'm as guilty as anybody when he does pass inside, going, "Oh God!" But see when you look, even after Wednesday night, I got home at 3 a.m. I still watched the whole game back. I got up at 5, 6, or sorry, I only got to sleep at 5, 6 in the morning. That's just me, but. See, when you see him sometimes, he's looking forward, he's trying to see a pass, he sees nothing, so he thinks, well, there's no point in punting it forward for no reason. I'll keep possession, I'll give it back to the centre half. Now, a lot of people see that as negative. Yes, it is possibly, but he's not aimlessly just punting a ball up the park and hoping that Cholak or Kent or whoever's up the wing at that time is going to get on the end of it. So for me, I would rather that he at least retain possession and recycles it out to the right wing where it might get a bit of joy down that way. That's just me, but I kind of see, I kind of see where a lot of people get a bit annoyed about Barisic, but he likes to keep possession. He's not one of these guys that just willingly gives the ball away. So yes, I see both sides, but yeah, he does get a lot of unfair criticism. Yes, possibly. Is he negative? Well, he's negative in the sense that he's not putting the ball forward, but he's not losing the ball. So it's either a hopeless punt forward, or he retains possession for me.
Right, well, James, what about Borna Barisic, the defender then? Is he good enough for you?
Right, well, what I would say is this, right? I would take the two Liverpool games out of the equation, right? And I know that's all ifs and maybes, right? But Mo Salah does that to most left backs and around the world 9 times out of 10 and twice on a Sunday. If he goes tight to Salah, he's getting smoked for pace. If he stands off him, he's going to get skinned. He tries to put him on the right, he goes left. He tries to put him on the left, he goes right. So I want to take the Liverpool games out of the equation. As a defender, I think Borna Barisic is a better player than Rangers, if that makes sense. That he's the type of player with the type of foot that would suit a better quality of team. That would allow him space. The way Gerrard played, essentially, right? I think he's not a bad defender. His blocks have been better. He's had obviously the few. I'm not saying he's Roberto Carlos or anything like that. Obviously, he has his bad games, but as a defender, he's getting a wee bit braver. I think he's starting to shout back a bit more, because I do think he has the whipping boy. You see folks shouting at him in the park, you know that, and I do think he's getting better. And I do think he would play more hopeless lumps up the park if he was actually getting a good run. Because you saw Arfield the other night even pointing for a couple of balls that he played them. And as I said, when Tom Lawrence was in the park and Tom Lawrence would drop deep, he would play the pass to Lawrence every time and he would bomb by it. Excuse me, my voice is a bit sore. He would bomb by Ryan Kent. But when he's not got Lawrence in the park and he's got Kent doing nothing, I mean, Michael Smith, even though we won 4-1 and 4-0 at Hearts, Michael Smith had Kent in his pocket the whole game, as do most right backs. When he's not got an option, if he points that ball up the park and Kent stops, which he usually does, he'll do a wee stagger and then he stops his run, and that ball goes at the park, you're guaranteed the fans are on his back. So he's done either way. Do you know what I mean? He gets moaned at either way. He punts the ball out, he's done. As a defender, I think it's hard because it's tough. It's tough to say because he's not getting. I feel that he obviously is a confidence player, but when he's not got the confidence, when he's not got somebody in his left side to help him, do you know what a prime example of that? A good game is. See the 3-0 game at Parkhead last season.
Mm-hmm.
I felt he was absolutely hung out to dry behind Kent in that game. I felt the tactics were wrong in that game, right? I think the tactics were to try and soak up the press, make to 60, 70 minutes and then try and hit them. For that first half, he had nobody on his side helping him. He had folk bombing in for the right and for the centre coming in with Abada, and they just bombarded him. And he had an absolute howler, and he obviously got subbed. But he's no tracking back anymore. He's not doing that running. He's no bombing forward, just making the runs that might get a long ball over. He's doing nothing. He's a man down, and I think that's massively affected Barisic's game. But when Tom Lawrence is in the park and he's given him that extra option in the left, I mean, 5-6 games ago we were saying how Barisic may be the best of a bad lot, but was playing well this year.
Wolf?
I find it difficult to disagree with any of that, to be honest. I've said it for a few weeks. I mean, when I sit in the club deck, you get a good overview of the whole pitch, and Barisic, generally speaking, gets to the halfway line and has absolutely nothing to hit. So he passes it back. The thing that frustrates me is it goes to the right hand side, then comes back over to Barisic again. It's like the horseshoe that we were told about with the firing guys, you know. And there's no movement on either side of the park, and it's partly because Van Bronckhorst is trying to play his system, but with Gerrard's players. Because when Gerrard was a manager, they didn't play wingers. Kent on the left and whoever was on the right were, as they called it, inverted 10, so they were further in the field. So the fullbacks, Barisic and Tavernier, could get up the park. They could run with the ball. You know, they'd have more options in field because the inverted 10s are slightly inside them and they could run past them on the overlap. We don't have that space because the wingers are totally get chalk on their boots. And there's just not the space. And Kent, as James says, Kent's easy to mark. Kent's like a man down. If it doesn't work in the first 5 minutes, you're as well taking him off because he's like a man down most of the time. I really do feel for Barisic, but I mean, I noticed lots of the comments that Ridvan has to start tomorrow. I agree with that, but I think you could also start Barisic if the manager wants to be brave and go with 3 at the back and stick Barisic in as a left-sided centre back. There's one for you to ponder.
Right, we'll talk about that a wee bit later on. You stop jumping the gun. James, just one quick point to put to you before I let you go. And it's for one of the comments, and it's Walter Zenga, and he says, pretty much you're talking nonsense. Every time we get a heavy defeat, Bournemouth is the first to hide or go into hiding.
Nah.
James?
I don't. It's a tough one because as I said, he looks like the type of player that is a confidence player, but as I said, he does seem to be the whipping boy, so it's kind of hard to honestly say that. I don't know if you remember the USG game when he was actually making good runs by Kent, and then the boy right back and just bouncing Kent off and bombing away, and then you see the camera pan to Tav screaming at Borna to get back, and then balling and shouting him, and you actually saw Borna lose it. He sprinted out to Tav right back, and he was like, "What the fuck are you shouting at me for? I did my job, I ran by," and Kent lost the ball. He just seems to be the target a lot of the time. Now, that then obviously can affect his game and make his game worse, so it's kind of a bit of a vicious circle. But again, as I say, we're not saying he's Roberto Carlos here, but I do think, I mean, when he's got up against people like Salah and all that, I mean, it's really tough. A 7-1 defeat and Salah's running him ragged, then folk are obviously going to point fingers at him, and rightly so, do you know what I mean? It's hard. I mean, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I wouldn't say obviously I believe my point. I don't think I'm talking nonsense, but I do understand that it does seem to kind of get into his shell a wee bit, but it is hard when you're playing a left side with one person when nobody helping you, do you know what I mean?
I know, listen, I kind of have to agree with that as well. James, mate, thank you.
Thanks again, guys. Have a good night.
Cheers, James.
Take care.
Oh, I thought we had Curry there, but I think he just hung up in time. Listen, I can only take one phone call at a time. I'm trying to look into a better system to get to use so that I can have a couple of people on hold and ready. But we finally, after much trying, have Curry Muncher. Curry, how are you?
I know the greatest Hull sector for me up, mate. All right, bud. How you doing? How you doing, lads?
Good.
All right, boy, you.
Trying my hardest not to swear. I'm going to apologise to the previous callers. First of all, obviously, they're not going to like what I've got to say. A wee bit of a reality check here. That performance was the worst performance I have seen for a Rangers side in 40 years. That was a disgrace. It was humiliating. It was gutless. There was not one person in that field after 55 minutes that deserved to wear a Rangers jersey. Not one of them. And I don't care what anybody says. Can we point fingers at certain players? Aye, we can. The one that I'll point my finger at first is the one I've been saying for months, Ryan Kent. He should be allowed anywhere near Ibrox ever again. I really, really hate the guy. But I'm going to go off it a wee bit, right? Mm-hmm. And I think anyway, people are going to, maybe they won't, they might agree with me, what I'm about to say, right? We're no angry. Well, we're angry at the manager, but we're no really upset. We're angry at the players, but we're not really upset. We're not even angry at getting beaten 7-1. We're angry about a bunch of players that bent over, pulled their shorts down, lubed up, and let Liverpool pump them rotten for 25 minutes. That's what people are angry about. It was a pure mentality of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of you guys think different. I'd love to hear the difference. Before we go into that, we listened to Giovanni Bronckhorst after the game say, regarding the question about analysing the game, and he says, I'll need to go away and analyse what happened. I'm sorry, Gio, but that's your fucking job when you're there watching them. You should be analysing the game as it's getting played and doing something about it. No waiting to the next day. And the best is the next day, the day he got asked about, has he analysed it and all that. He spoke for 5 minutes and it was blah, 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 word salad, blah, 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 blah. And not one thing he said discussed that he had actually analysed the game and what went wrong. And I'm like, why is this guy still at our club? Oh God, you can tell I'm getting angry because I'm getting my wee girly high voice on. Sorry, guys.
No, look, Wolf, I was angry after the game. I put out a tweet saying Gio has to go. Certain members of the board need to take a long, hard look at himself, and Ross Wilson has got to follow Gio out the door. Listen, what Curry's saying there, Gio's never impressed in his press conferences. He never seems to excite or invigorate or anything. But look, Curry's right, is he not?
Again, it's quite difficult to argue with much what you said. I mean, that seems to be the mantra tonight. The calls are fantastic. The callers make some great points.
Yeah.
I mean, Curry's always on point. Martin, you saying you were angry on Wednesday night. I wasn't angry. I was just empty. I was just emotionally. I just couldn't believe what I'd watched. Thursday morning for me was worse than Wednesday night. I was so angry on all day Thursday. I mean, had this podcast been happening on Thursday, we'd be banned Sunday forever in the podcast land by now.
It wouldn't have
because
been
I was just so you wouldn't have needed it. I'm just so angry at the capitulation team. I mean, I think I've watched Rangers teams play worse than we did on Wednesday, but not against teams as good as Liverpool. It's the lack of fight that gets me. But pick up Curry's point about the manager. His press conferences don't inspire me. I mean, I always give him the benefit of the doubt because English isn't his first language, and I think he does struggle a bit with it. and I don't really have an issue with him coming out on Wednesday night saying, look, I'll need to analyse it, and rather than saying something that will make him look absolutely ridiculous. But he's come out and said nothing. You know, I mean, he could have come out on Wednesday and said, look, we apologise to the supporters, we apologise to everybody. That would have been the least of I would have expected. We didn't get that. From what I've heard from him, we still haven't had that from him. Borna came out and apologised. Because what else could he do? The only plus thing from the manager's aftermatch was he didn't start making excuses. He didn't say it was because of this and because of that. Because other managers at other clubs, even other managers we've had, we start making excuses. Say, well, it was because of this, it was because that's because they've got Mo Salah on the bench, they're bringing on Jota, all this. It wasn't any of that. But it's not good enough. I mean, I'll never ever call for the head of a Rangers manager, but I don't see how he survives this. I think he's currently one bad result away from being shown the door, but that won't solve the problem because Ross Wilson will still be there. I don't know if Ross Wilson's the problem, but you have to ask, why is Giovanni van Bronckhorst the only Dutch manager in the history of football that's got no Dutch players at the club? We're told that he doesn't bring the players in, he doesn't actually make the signings, because that's what a director of football has to do. But even looking at Ross Wilson as director of football, the way I understand the position of director of football, right, they oversee the whole football department, get everybody singing off the same hymn sheet, playing the same way. And he brings in a manager that plays a completely opposite system to the manager that's just left. Which means he's got to overhaul the whole way we play. And as I said earlier, he's trying to do that playing with the same players that played a different system. Where the rest of the club, the B team and the under-16s and the under-18s, all still play the way they played previously. It just doesn't make sense. Bringing in, I like Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, loved him as a player. He got to the European final, won as a Scottish Cup. Tremendous. But he plays a completely different game to the previous management team. So what exactly did Ross Wilson expect him to be doing when he came in? So you have to lay the blame squarely at the door of Mr. Wilson, I think.
Right, well, I've heard differing reports. Don't know if it's true. Absolutely no idea if it's true, but I'll say it anyway, that Gio had no say in any players. Gio did not get to pick any players. The players are bought for Gio, and Gio then has to go and do what he can with those players. Gerrard was told this a while ago, and that's one of the reasons why Gerrard wanted to go, and he wanted to go a lot earlier than what he actually did. But COVID happened.
So just to cut across you there, Martin, why is Giovanni Van Bronckhorst Rangers manager, not Rangers first team coach then? Because a manager has to manage, a coach has to coach.
Why is I honestly don't know. But we've got Curry on the phone, so I'll go back to Curry. I don't want to leave him stranded on the phone. Curry, obviously, look, Gio has to take large parts of blame for, blowing a 6-point lead last season, getting horsed twice off of Celtic, that performance on Wednesday. But we can't just point the finger at Gio all the time, Curry, can we? The players...
Well, that's the thing, Martin. I'm not just pointing the finger at Gio, right? We've been saying this, and especially you get me on the phone all the time, so every person that I've pointed out who I've wanted away from this club, and they're all still there, and they still get picked. The same tactics gets used, the same substitutes gets used. No matter how bad they play, they're still going to be on that park. That's down to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. But that's not the problem at Rangers are now. It's the whole thing. The board, the money. Where's the money gone? We got a couple of birthday card pish for Robertson and the other boy about, we're going to do this and do that. I've been saying, I don't know if I'm right, but I've probably, if the money's not going in the park, it's gone to corporate venture. And the money comes into corporate venture, goes into the board's pocket. Not the fans, right? So that's the board. We've got a medical team. I'm sorry, but who have we got in your medical team?
Yeah.
Harold Shipman? We don't. When's the classic earlier on the day? Connor Goldson. How long is it for? I'll be out for a month and that. Or could you tell us how long exactly? Or it'll be at least a couple of months. What? You've had for Wednesday night for your medical team Now, you can guarantee these are not anybody for the NHS, and that's no disregard to the people for the NHS who do an absolutely fantastic job. But I'm talking about these are professionals. These people are paid a lot of bloody money. They're specialists in their departments in every part of the human body. And they can't tell you how long, roughly, how long somebody's going to be it. You're like, what's going on? You've got Gio, who's using bad substitutions, bad tactics, bad pick teams. You can blame them. Then you get into the team. You've got a team who, on paper, should be blasting the SPFL. Every team. And Champions League, are we good enough? No, that was obvious even before we started. We knew we weren't going to do anything. But the one thing we knew we were going to do, foresight's a wonderful thing, but the one thing we did know was we'd put up a fight and we'd show what Rangers had in the world stage. And there's not been one game, and even you get into the 10-man against Napoli, doesn't matter, they still pumped us. Mm-hmm. So every game we've been pumped, and it's been under the same circumstances. The players are basically, for a lack of a better word, they're down tools. And he did do it. And the best example of that was on Wednesday night, when every Rangers supporter, probably around the world, was watching that game, and they watched every single player just stop. They didn't care. I'll give Barisic one bit of credit, right? Or two, sorry. He's a less shitty the rest of the shits on the park. And he came out and he apologised for what happened. The Scott Arfield, who I've been telling you for a while, is not up to it. He came out and he proved me wrong last weekend against St Mirren, which is amazing. But he came out in the presser. That's what he got. Do you think he just came out to a bloody party? And you're like, wait a minute, mate, you just get fucking pumped 7-1. And you're acting all, there's still 2 games to go. I'm sorry, but F off, pal.
People react different ways to different things, though. I would only...
That's unforgivable, Martin. Sorry, buddy. Sorry for being so raging.
No, be raging. That's what we're here for. I consider myself a social worker, Corey.
Steady.
As a social worker. I'm
glad you said worker after that, Martin. I thought you were going to say socialist there.
Anybody.
I know. Look, it's hard to see where this squad of players... Because, Curry, I will need to let you go in a wee minute because I've had a few...
sorry, but I know I did that said with bloody time, didn't I? Sorry. Sorry, chat. You take care. Have a good one. And as always, we are the people, no matter what.
We are.
Cheers, Curry. Thank you.
Cheers, Curry.
Cheers, Curry.
Curry mentioned one thing there that I want to bring up to you, and Brian, I'll come to you first, seeing as you disappeared for a smoke.
For a pee, actually.
Everybody in the comments noticed that you went for a smoke because they could see when I'll give you everybody watching a wee quick insight into how it works in the background, right? See if you turn off your camera, it doesn't mute your microphone, so people can still hear you. Right. So see if you're going to go. No, you man. See if you're going to go off screen. Take your camera off screen. That's all I'm saying. I'm not having a go. I'm not having a go. That's all I'm saying. Injuries, Brian. Severe injuries. Connor Goldson. Did that have a massive effect on the result, do you think, on Wednesday when Connor Goldson went off? No?
You could argue yes. You could argue yes.
Is he going to be a big miss? Is he going to be a big miss?
Massive. Absolutely massive. You could argue there wasn't much of a miss on Wednesday because the result would have been the same, but the result, well, as far as I'm concerned, it all capitulated from the moment he probably went off. You know, everything collapsed around, and it's now people are going to realise how much we miss Goldson from now on until he comes back. You know, we're all quick to, you know, say how bad Goldson's played or what he's done or what he hasn't done. But I guarantee you now, between now and when he comes back, we're gonna sorely miss Connor Goldson. He's been a very, very. Don't get me wrong. He obviously has his bad games, but I would like to think that he doesn't play every minute of every game if he's not that good. Let's be honest. If Gio didn't rate him or didn't fancy him, he wouldn't play him. If Gerrard didn't rate him or fancy him, he wouldn't play him. So he's obviously rated, and they obviously like what he does. So it's almost, you know, this is gonna be the point now where it's almost gonna be like, it's almost like when Tav leaves, we're gonna think, we won't miss him that much.
No. Don't,
you know what I mean? But this is what it's like.
Yeah, I get it.
No, but you know what I mean? This is the point now where we're gonna see how vital Goldson is, as far as I'm concerned, until he returns, whenever that is. Because as Curry already pointed out, we don't know when that is. It was months, then it was weeks, now it's back to months.
Yeah.
You know, so this is going to be the point now where we're going to realise how crucial Goldson is.
Yeah, we have another call. I think this might be our first time caller because it's not saved on my phone book. Caller ending 674. Hello, welcome.
Hello, guys. Scott Buchanan, all the way from Auckland, New Zealand.
Scotty, how the devil are you, my friend?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Well, still licking my wounds for the game, obviously, and been hiding for most of the week. But apart from that, I'm good, brother.
I hope you don't get extra charges calling for New Zealand.
You can afford it, mate.
I'm on the phone.
What would you like to talk about?
Before Scott starts talking, can I just caveat whatever he says about me is a lie?
I think, I guess for us, I'm still kind of scratching my head as to why the club never invested just a wee bit more in the transfer window. And I know it's easy for us to say, but fantastic run in Europe, qualified for the group stages of the Champions League, and I genuinely feel that the board have let us down badly. You know, I'm not asking them to spend all of it. I get it. It's a business. We've got debts. We've got, overheads. But I genuinely feel that, they've been very silent on it. And the base rate locked up the biscuit tin. And I think we're now suffering for that. I'm not saying we would have been able to, make that 7-1 any easier, but I think we would have had a more squad depth in particular. So that was my kind of first point. And the second one is probably going to be very unpopular, especially with the last caller. I'm not a Goldson fan at all. I think he's let us down on a number of occasions, and it sounds really, really bad, but I wasn't actually that upset when he got 2 off against Liverpool. And I obviously hope the man well. I hope his injury recovers, but I think he's actually one of our issues at the back. I really do. And, we've got some young blood there that will now get a wee chance, and hopefully they'll cement their position in the team. But I'm just sick week in, week out of watching them be in the wrong position, get caught flat-footed, and actually cause us problems. So that was my 2 wee points on a sunny Sunday morning here in Auckland.
It's a cold Sunday night here in Scotland, I'll tell you. Just to throw it back at you quickly, 2 points to throw back at you about Goldson. The first one being, I understand what you're saying about mistakes and stuff like that, but we've lost Goldson at a time where we've pretty much only got Leon King and Davies if he doesn't pick up an injury, and James Sands, right? So first point is the depth we've got in defence at the time of losing him. And I've absolutely forgot the second point, so I'll just go with the first point.
and I get that, and listen, I've got the same concerns, but if we just cast our mind back, the man held out renewing his contract, right? No true Ranger would ever do that, especially after the season that we had getting to a European final. That's a red flag for me, right? And you can go on Twitter and tell everybody around the world how much he loves the club and everything else, but to leave it to the 11th hour, right, just kind of stinks that he had other options that he was considering, and his heart isn't he, and wasn't in Rangers at the time. That's my observation, of course. I don't know the guy personally, but it never bodes well for us when any of our players leave it to the very last minute to sign a contract extension. So he clearly was considering his options, and that's okay. He's a professional. He's got to think about his career and his finances and his family and everything else. But, we've seen it time and time again. They stay with us because they've got no other option. And that's genuinely how I feel about Goldson. He only stayed with us because nobody else wanted him. And that's never a good trait. Always looks to blame others, right? Be a man, step up. I'm an ex-army boy. If I drop a bollock, I'll hold my hands up and I'll take it on the chin. He's always looking to blame others. You see him do it time and time again on the park. Don't do it. Don't hide. Don't blame anybody else. Take responsibility for your own actions and man up would be my comments. And I'm not talking about a one-off here. I think we've all seen multiple examples where he's done it. Now, is he in the squad because we don't have any other options? We've got a debt problem. There's probably your answer right there. And that goes back to my first point about the board not investing in the club. We don't have any other choice at the back. And we've leaked probably the most goals I think any of us have seen in a long, long time over the last 2 or 3 months. And it's painful to watch it. And it starts with the back, as we know. If we've not got a good defence, then everything else crumbles from there and we're under pressure from the kickoff.
Well, look, on Scotty's first point, Wolf, about investment. How much did we spend this summer? 7-8 million, was it? I think, what was it? 3 for Matondo, 1.82 million for Cholak.
12 million in all, wasn't it?
12 million in all, because it was 5 million for Ridvan and 4 million for Davies.
It's 12 million all in.
12 million all in. So Scotty Wright, should we have invested more? Should we have gave, Gio, Ross Wilson more money to spend?
I could have chipped in 12 million would be in a much better place.
You could chip me 12 million if you want.
He's a pal of mine and he's not chipping it to me, so you're last of the queue, Martin. So, no, I don't know. I think we could probably have spent it better. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the question that we were asking earlier and we've been asking for weeks. Is Gio happy with the signings that seem to have been foisted upon him? Because £5 million for Ridvan, we've seen him for about 10 minutes. Now, I get the argument that he's not had a left-sided centre-back to play beside him because Davies has been injured. He's now come back in the team. So he could talk Ridvan through it. But Goldson's out now. So does that mean that Davies is going to have to talk King through it or talk Sands through it or whoever else happens to be in there? So does that stifle Ridvan again? Manager obviously doesn't fancy Matondo. Matondo's best position from what I've heard was playing out wide on the left. But he's not dropping Kent, so he's playing Matondo on the right. So he's basically got a player that he's not going to use, best place to use him. So Scotty's right. I'm not saying we should have spent more money. We should certainly have spent it better and bought players to fill holes. I mean, we signed. I know we didn't spend money on him, but we signed a centre back for Hearts that's got an injury. That's got serious injury problems.
Yeah. Then
we play him pre-season. He gets injured again, and we're told that we signed him carrying an injury. So why did we play him pre-season? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But no, I mean Scotty's points are very. I mean, he does make a point. The whole Goldson thing. I think the defence has been built around Goldson because he hardly ever misses a game. We'll now see just how good or bad Goldson really is when we've got to do without him. I think probably for the rest of the season.
Well,
you made an interesting thought there, Will. Sorry, there's a wee time delay. I'm trying not to cut you boys off and be rude, but our due diligence, right? What are we doing a club our size, committing to buying players that are basically carrying injuries when they come in the door, right? What that tells me is we're desperate, right, and we don't have any other choices. And how can a club our size, not have choices? That's scary, right? So. I heard the bit earlier about the Wilson situation. Clearly, for me, Gio is not picking the players, right? Can he be? Because he's an intelligent guy, right? He comes with football and stock. He's a true Ranger. He's clearly working with one hand tied behind his back, and none of us would want to be working in that situation, right? So that just tells me that we've either got a team that have let it slip, they're not actually focusing on the key risks of the team and looking at those key positions and making sure we've got a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And one thing we can't take away from Gerrard, he had coverage throughout the team. Right, we might not have liked the way he left us. Still smart about that a wee bit without going down a rabbit hole. But we had coverage, and we had plans, and we were active in the market. People were tripping over themselves to give us loan players. Look at how that's changed. Under the current management, right? It's dry, it's barren, and we're now struggling because of it.
So just on what you said there, Scotty, right? Just a quick question for you. Gio's getting an awful lot of stick now, and I think the majority of the fan base would probably say, and rightly so. But taking on board the kind of points that you've made, do you think that Gio deserves a lot of that stick, or like you say, is he working with too many obstacles to be able to do his job right?
I think that it's going to sound like a bloody politician's answer, and I apologise, but I think it's a combination of the two, right? I think, he's taking the job, and, it's a high-pressure job, right? And let's be really honest, you're in the goldfish bowl of Scottish football, and every move you make, every word you say comes under scrutiny, and you're a hero one week and an absolute villain the next, right? But I think the club have set him up for failure. I really do. Everything that we see happen, whether it's players coming in, whether it's finances, I genuinely feel for the guy, and Wilf will tell you, I'm no soft cock, right? If somebody's been a prick, I'll call him a prick, right? Excuse my French. But I genuinely, and listen, I went through the emotions Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sack him, keep him, sack him, keep him. I went back and forward about 4 or 5 times, but he's been set up for failure. He really has. And, there also has to have been a reason why Gerrard left so quickly, and it wasn't to go to Aston Villa. Let's be really honest, right? If we really dig deep into this, he probably saw what was coming through the transfer window, saw the lack of support financially from the board, and he went, I've got other options and other choices. And I genuinely think that was the reason why he went down the road. It sounds terrible. We're halfway pregnant, right? We're halfway through a season. We've got to support Gio whether we like it or not, and it hurts, right? But I think Wilf nailed it earlier. He's 1 or 2 bad defeats away from walking out the door anyway, and we'll be left in an even worse situation. I mean, who would we replace him with? There's no name springing to mind, if I'm being really honest.
Wilf Marshall, maybe he'd probably take the job.
Not a chance.
Couldn't afford
Not
him.
a chance. Couldn't afford him.
Scotty, brilliant call. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Like,
Scotty.
all the
Speak to you
best.
soon, brother.
Speak soon, brother. Thanks, pal.
He sounded too professional to be one of your pals. So
let me tell you, Scotty's a very, very good friend of mine. Originally from Stirling, moved over to Australia. He's now in New Zealand. He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful fella.
He sounds very, very intelligent as well. Too intelligent for the rabble. I have to apologise to Max. I brung him in, and then I went to change the audio settings, and I cut him off, and then Scotty came in. But I've now got Max on the phone. Max, hello, how are you?
Fucking miserable. I'm going to do a bit of swearing. I'll make up for Curry, mate.
You go for it.
Human.
In fact, could you just give it 6 minutes until 9 o'clock?
Okay. No, too fucking angry, mate. Sorry.
Right, go for it. What's on your mind?
Oh, what's he going on with Tavern here after that shit show on fucking Wednesday? What's he on about? Going on to talking all that crap?
It's not the first time either.
Exactly. Should he say, what was it, 2 years ago? Or they've caught down how we play, and that's how we can't win the league. That was the last thing you opened his mouth about, wasn't it?
I know that he couldn't do the post-match interview because he gets selected for a random drug test. Because a lot of people were complaining about why wasn't he out doing the post-match interviews. But he never does them after a heavy defeat, to be fair, Brian. But look, Max said it there, and I've said it as well. We've heard that too many times for Tab.
Yeah, aye. I mean, you've seen it down south with the Maguire and Man United, and this, social media apologies and crap like that. Not interested in that. Not interested in that one bit. Just it really this social media like apologies and interview apologies. Nobody wants to hear them. We're we've just been scudded by a considerable bit, and a lot of people have spent a lot of money getting to this game, and the last thing we want to hear is an apology. I'm sorry. It's the last thing I mean, 10:30 and what night was it? Monday or Tuesday night? Nah, not for me.
Friday night, was it not? I can't remember.
I can't remember. It was, but that's the last thing you want to hear is a player giving you some apology on a Friday or Thursday night or whatever it was. It's just not good enough. Sorry.
What else is on your mind, Max? Because I can tell there's more than just Tav.
I turned the telly off at 3-1, mate. I seen it coming. Their whole body language is just, I don't know what's going on with them. There's just something not right.
Is it just on the manager, Max? Because that's what a lot of people, obviously, and
I
rightly
don't
so, are
know.
angry. But
Is it that Ross Wilson? What's going on? He's the only Dutch manager I've ever known that's went to a team and no signed one Dutch player.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you look at Ten Hag, he just went to Man United. How many did he sign? 2.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
I find it strange he's not brought one Dutch player in.
Well,
I find it strange.
The big talk, Max, is, and it's not confirmed, but Gio doesn't get to pick the players that come in. Gio doesn't have any say on transfers.
That's the way it looks as well.
It's all Ross Wilson. So
You should get shot him, as Wolf said, get him to fuck. Excuse my French tonight, because I'm really fucking angry.
Sorry, I'm going to France tomorrow, so you're allowed to speak French. That's all right. What's your thoughts for Sunday then?
Who's he going to play?
Well, that was going to be my question.
There's like 9 first-team players out injured.
Who starts at the back as well? Does
you go with Sands and Young King?
That's the way it's looking.
Exactly. Or does he go for a 3, bring Bomb in, put Ridvan out in there and put King, Sands and Bomb at the back? Try something different.
I don't like this question. It's not a nice one, and Max is already laughing before I've asked it. For you, Max, should Gio go? Should he be let go? Should he be let go out of his duties?
I think he's out his depth. Personally, he's out his depth. I don't think he's realised what he's come into and who he's been dealing with that Ross Wilson. I just don't understand how it all works now.
No.
If he's picking all the players, because the biggest majority of them have all been crap.
Do you not think he's not got one hand, but two hands behind his back?
Basically, that's what it seemed like. As I said, It's very, very strange that not one single Dutch player's come into Rangers. I find it strange. For how many did Advocaat bring in? First thing he done.
The whole Dutch squad, pretty much.
He brought in an excellent array of Dutch talent, did he not?
Sorry, Mark.
Two seconds, Wolf. Max, you were the final caller of tonight, so thank you very much.
Very much appreciated, boys. Thanks for our event.
Cheers, Max.
Not a problem.
Wolf, nice speaking to you, bud.
Cheers, Max, and you, pal.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Take care.
Cheers.
Sorry, Martin.
And then we're going to discuss Motherwell, and then I need to go and pack for France.
Sorry, Martin. I was just going to say there. Everybody's saying get rid of. The consensus seems to be get rid of the manager, right? Now, okay, we get rid of the manager, right? Who do we bring in under the current situation when it seems fairly clear the manager doesn't have a say in signing the players? Who's going to come and work under which proper, decent, real football manager is going to come in and work under those conditions?
That's the point.
And there's the point of the same squad. But there is obviously a problem with the squad because, as I said earlier, right, it looked as if they downed tools on Wednesday night. Right, they've done the same most of the heavy defeats because they're not throwing themselves into tackles. They seem to just be giving up more or less. Right, that's professional. To me, that's a dereliction of their professional pride. So why are they like that? Is it more than just a problem with the manager? You know what I mean? Are they inherently upset at something we don't know about? Because it's something going through that squad. Because there doesn't seem to be any togetherness.
I have to agree. I have to 100% agree. It looks, and it might just look this way because of the way that the season's going, the way we're playing. It does look as though the players are not playing for the manager, Brian. But like Wolf says, if Rangers come out tomorrow, and say, right, okay, Gio, that's your time up. We can't get another manager in. It has to be a coach, and it has to be a good one.
Yeah. But, I mean, I keep hearing this, they're not together, they're not this. you seen the way they acted when they scored in Europa League games last year. I mean, there's only, 2 players that have left the squad?
Mhm.
You know, Aribo and Bassi. You know, there's 2 players left the squad. Yet last season when we scored any goals against any European team, the whole squad, the managers, the coaches, they were all over each other and nothing looked wrong then. So are we seriously saying that because of 2 players leaving that the whole squad ethos or confidence is gone? I mean, I'm just... I totally agree with you. There's something not right. I don't know what it is, but there's something not right. And I'm not having the fact that 2 players have left has decimated that feel-good factor. I'm not having that.
Callum Donald, new member. Thank you very much, Callum, for helping to support the show, the podcast. It's almost 160 now. So yeah, please, if you're watching on YouTube, give us a wee like and subscribe. You can also, like Callum, become a member if you want. The join button's below. If it's not below for you, it is in the description. We're back on Facebook. We're live on Facebook as well. So if you're on Facebook, give us a wee share, a follow, and all that good stuff. And of course, Twitter. Everyone knows Twitter. Give us a wee retweet, a like, and a comment on there. And we are, of course, sponsored by Zenith Coins. So if you go and check them out, they've got some fantastic stuff over there. Use code RR10 for 10% off your order at zenithcoins.com. Honestly, some amazing stuff. They've just got a new Rangers range out as well, so go and check that out. And in about 3 weeks' time, I'll be telling you about the big Ibrox sleep out that the Rabble will be participating in aid of the Rangers Charity Foundation, but that's a few weeks away yet, and I will keep you all updated on that. Right, well, we are playing Motherwell tomorrow. How do we shape up? How do we set the team out? What does Gio do? How do we go about winning the game? Because Motherwell under Stevie Hamill look a better team. They look as if they've improved.
Yeah, I mean, the who plays in this is a difficult one because I tried to pick my team last night, but I went to pick the team that I think the manager will play, not the team that I would pick, because they're 2 completely different things, because we know the sort of things he will do. It wouldn't at all surprise me if the manager picks the same team as Wednesday, without the injured players, and says to them, go out and prove that you're better than Wednesday. That would not surprise me, because they do things like that in football. Right? As I said earlier, he could also go with a back 3. We're born in the back 3 beside Ben Davies, because we believe from today's press conference he is available to play, despite his fact he's got a little knock, and probably Leon King. If he doesn't do that, I think it will be Davis and King in the middle. I think Ridvan will start. I'll be very surprised if Ridvan doesn't start. Obviously, with Tav on the other side. Midfield, Lundstrom. I'm guessing Stephen Davis is fit again, because he was at the press conference today, and I think he'd start him as well, and potentially Tillman. He's going to start Kent, because he always starts Kent. I wouldn't. That's where it all differs. I wouldn't put Kent anywhere near it, but I think he'll start with Kent. He'll go with Cholak, and on the other side, it could be anybody who possibly play Scott Wright, because he likes Scott Wright.
Mm-hmm.
If it was me, I'd be playing Morelos out there. To play Morelos and
he won't do that.
That's what I'm saying. He won't do that. But if it was me, that's what I would do. Mm-hmm. So I fully expect him to play Scott Wright out there, or he might even play Tillman out. Out wide on the right.
That doesn't work. That
doesn't mean the manager won't do it, though, Brian.
I know that.
Trying to guess what the manager's going to do.
I know
that's the problem. Because as I say, I would play Morelos out there, but we know the manager's not going to do that. I'd probably play three in the middle of the defence. The manager's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, so see, really on that point, Wolf, about Tillman, Rangers on tour is saying, look, if Davies is fit, then you play Sands in the midfield beside Lundstrom and Tillman.
Yeah, 100%. You've got to play Tillman in the 10, though. You have to play Tillman in the 10.
Yep.
I would do that. I'd play Sands in the middle of the park, but I'm not picking the team. That's the problem.
How much pressure then, Brian, or is the manager and the players under tomorrow? Because Fir Park is not an easy place to go.
No, I would suggest
it's a horrible stadium, right? It's a horrible stadium. It's a terrible pitch. It's small, it's dingy. Just apologies to any Rangers fans out there watching this from Motherwell, right? I just don't like the place.
I would suggest that Gio's under a lot more pressure tomorrow than the players, because at the end of the day, he's picking the team tomorrow. And if I'll say it now, if things go south tomorrow, if things don't work out the way we want and we don't get 3 points, he is seriously in the firing line and in front of the firing squad. And woe betide anybody that says don't pull the trigger, because there'll be a lot of people queuing up to do that. And the thing that really annoys me is he doesn't seem to learn. He seems to learn from them momentarily for maybe a game, but then rotates straight back to old habits, and he goes right back to where he was. And I'm kind of scared tomorrow that he's gonna change something that you think, oh yeah, that's great, but then it'll all go to pot. There'll be a substitution, and then that's that, and that's all the sort of that's the tactics out the window, and and he's on a very thin ice just now, and he's got to watch himself, because there's lots and lots of people really just willing to fail now. And unfortunately, he's got to come up with some plan that's going to counteract that. And I'm sorry, I'm finding it very hard to see anything other than him going, as Wolf said.
I think, sorry, Martin, I think tomorrow, just to pick up what Brian says, I think tomorrow, whatever team he picks, the performance of the players will be a big indication to us if there is a disconnect between the manager and the players. Yeah. Because if they put it, we're better than Motherwell. Whatever team he picks, we're a better football team than Motherwell.
Right? We have options.
If they go out there and put on a performance, then I don't think things are as bad between the players and the manager as we seem to think they are. But if it's inept and it's laboured, then there's a huge problem in there.
Well, along those kind of lines, Wolf, William P. channel members asking, is 3 points enough to save his job, or do we need to blow Motherwell away?
3 points is a minimum. 3 points is a minimum. I mean, if we scrape 3 points with really terrible performances, now till the end of the season it wins us the league, that's all the man's there to do, is to win us the title. That's the important thing to do. But when on the back of Wednesday, we really do need a performance. And even blowing Motherwell away might not be enough, because generally speaking, we've got a decent record at the Fir Park. We do tend to score a lot there quite often.
Stuart's saying there, look, we do, but
we've got a good record at the Fir Park.
6-1
they are improved. I will say one thing about Motherwell: they are seriously improved under Stevie Hamill. Mel with a £10 super chat. Have a great holiday, Martin. Love to you all. Thank you very much appreciated. There's a few people.
They've won one in the last 5, Martin.
I know, but I'm just saying, as a team, they've improved. Under Alexander, they were horrendous. They were terrible. They get put out by a pub team, and was it Ireland or Wales put them out?
Sligo Rovers from Ireland, yeah.
Was it Sligo? Right.
Sligo
Rovers, poor team put them out comfortably. It wasn't as if it was a snatch and grab. They were beat twice over the 2 legs. Yeah. Hamill's came in and he seems to have steadied the ship a wee bit for Motherwell. They've picked up a few results here and there. They look a better team. They look more organised. That's the point I'm making, Brian. I'm not saying like Real Madrid. There's a few people picked up on the team that Wolf said there about playing Alfie out in the right, and there's quite a few people in the comments saying surely Sakala deserves to keep his place.
I think Sakala. Well, Brian referenced a 6-1 win at Motherwell last season. Sakala got a hat-trick, so I mean, he likes scoring against Motherwell. So, yeah, I wouldn't be adverse to Sakala keeping his place. Yeah, I didn't score against Motherwell every time we played against them, but I wouldn't be adverse to Sakala keeping this place. So the squad's not as decimated as we're trying to make out it is. Really, it's at the back we've got issues. But really, if we do a job going forward, the kind of the 3 of us in defence, it shouldn't make a lot of difference. Mm-hmm. Because Motherwell shouldn't get anywhere near our box if we play to our capabilities. Really, I mean, we're more than capable of blowing them away. However, we're also more than capable on recent showings of making an absolute arse of it.
Not only that, one of the places we have really struggled in, Brian, is in goals. John McLaughlin's, against Celtic had an absolute howler. I think personally on Wednesday, Alan McGregor had an absolute howler. I thought he was at fault for at least 3 of the goals. So if you add the goalkeeping situation we've got to the fact that it's probably going to be an unfit Davies and Leon King, add that to the fact that Tav's not kicked a ball, whether that's due to injury or not, and add that to a confidence-based Borna who Gio will play. Defence is a real big issue for us.
You're not really filling me up with confidence here, are you? Shite goalie, shite defence.
I'm not saying shite goalie. I'm just saying prone to making really bad mistakes now.
Everybody was on the McGregor train last week. He's now it's where do we go from McGregor train? So are we back to McLaughlin or do we even chuck in McCrory? Where do we go? Where do we go from there? It's just, I get injuries are unfortunate, and I get injuries happen, but we were crying out for a centre half, or at least we got one, but we needed 2, at least maybe 3 centre halves in the summer, and we only got 1. So I hate to say it, it goes back to recruitment. Our whole season's unraveling because of the lack of recruitment in every
and injuries.
And injuries, yes. As I say, you can't legislate for injuries, but the lack of recruitment is, for me, the biggest issue this season. That's going to be an undoing this season. Lack of recruitment.
It will be. It will be. Right, Wolf, give me a prediction for tomorrow.
4-0.
4-0. First goal scorer?
Leon King.
Brian? I like that, by the way. Brian?
Because we always concede there, I'll go 3-1 Cholak's first goal scorer.
And we haven't even spoke about Cholak, and we don't have time. But yeah, he starts tomorrow. 100% he starts, and he starts in every game going forward. My chair's gone again. I need to lose weight. I need to lose weight.
Are you sure that was a chair?
That was definitely the chair. Wolf, Brian, thank you very much for joining me.
No worries.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks to all the callers. Absolutely wonderful.
You could have went for another hour with callers, but unfortunately, I have promised my better half that I will help pack for the holiday.
You enjoy yourself on holiday. Give Mickey Mouse our best regards.
I will see viewers of Brian Fotheringham watch.
There you go. Glad you remembered. Good man.
So yeah, we put this on tonight because obviously we missed last night. So I just wanted to try and get a wee show out there for you. So yeah, thank you to everybody for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. We're getting closer and closer to 7,000 subscribers on there. Give us a follow on all the socials. All the links are in the description. And if you want to become a member, then I've explained it enough and you know how to. So yeah, you won't see me for a week because I'll be away. So
peace and quiet, folks. Peace and quiet.
There's no internet in France, obviously.
Well, there is, but I would have my balls cut off if I used it. So yeah, thank you to every single person for watching. The Rabble will be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock for all the build up to the game, and then obviously we'll have reaction, and then we are right through the week. So there's plenty of Rabble to go around. So thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you in a week. These guys will see you a lot sooner than me. Bye for now.